We'll grab his information and see what we can do, but like I said,
can you please collect the information? He said that he's already illegal. He already said that he went to...
Okay, hold on, let's back up a little bit. First off, we're a sanctuary city. Even if he is legal here, we cannot call ICE and report him.
But you still have to report that, right?
No, we don't, because it's a sanctuary city. We do not report illegal, undocumented.
So you're going to let a person who went to prison, he committed a crime in America, who's illegal right now, you're going to let him go free right now to this elevator?
That's exactly what I'm saying, because we're a sanctuary city. I've arrested a double homicide suspect in this city before and let him walk out the door because we're a sanctuary city. We're not going to call ICE to come pick him up and deport him.
He came to pick up $320,000 from your, him, or mine, grandmother and grandfather, and he's walking away freely right now, right? That's what I'm understanding right now.
I understand that, but you're asking me to call ICE or the...
I'm not asking you to call ICE. We're just asking you to take seriously that he's trying to repeat offend when he's already illegal.
He flew
repeating
from
what
New
he's
York.
already been doing.
He said, I'm in Chinatown in New York.
Monday, September 16, 2024. My name is Jaron Jackson, and I do love America. For me, it's always about the gospel of Jesus Christ, his death, his burial, his resurrection. Let's start with, if we can, Proverbs chapter 16, I should say. Why is my Bible bad? Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 6. By mercy and truth, iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil. Read that again. This is the Bible. By mercy and truth, iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord, men depart from evil. I'd like to speak to you today about what you can do when police do not deport. What do you do when police do not deport? Mass migration is a nation killer. There are tens of millions of people coming into this nation and have already come into this nation. This nation is being destroyed as though the foundation is just being cracked all over the place. I want justice. My prayer is that you want justice. I want mass deportation. My prayer is that you want mass deportation. If that's you, then you are my people for this video, and I'd like to explain that. First, I'd like to direct your attention to the best way that you can support me and the work that I do, because I'm about to give you $1 billion worth of content for free that you can take action on, and that you can take action here. Take your shopping and switch it over to American manufacturing. You do this at patriotswitch.com/Jaron. Patriotswitch.com/Jaron. When you shop, I get a benefit. It is 100% American manufacturing. Instead of putting your money in Walmart or Costco or Amazon or any of these companies that pay not Americans to make garbage and then sell it to you for cheap, why don't you instead save money, get better products, and pay Americans to do it? That's at patriotswitch.com/Jaron. I'll also say, and I didn't even make a fancy graphic, I wrote it on a piece of paper here, but you can go to nowgotowar.com, nowgotowar.com. September 19, there will be, Lord willing, a Zoom call where my wife and I will explain to you the ins and outs of patriotswitch.com. So if you like what I do, if you want to support what I do, go to that. But if you want to do on a Zoom call, you go to nowgotowar.com, nowgotowar.com. Let's get in the content. This video boils my blood. It boils my blood because there's people in America who have bad things happen to them, and then they look to the police, right? They look to the police, law enforcement. They look to these people and they think, okay, here's somebody who will help me. Now, I don't have all the details behind this video. I have exactly what you have. You have someone who's looking at two police officers complaining about the fact that an injustice or harm has been done. Money has been stolen. This is the allegation. Money has been stolen, and the illegal is leaving, getting away. And the cops aren't even going to go arrest him because, quote, this is a sanctuary city. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to the description box below. At the very bottom, you will see a related section. The related section has all the remedy that you would ever want. I will walk through that more deliberately here in a second. But I want to direct your attention to all the links in the description below, all the videos that are already made, all the stuff that already exists. It's all free. It is all there. If you really care about this issue, then take action. That action should be based on knowledge and truth, and by God, I have provided that in those videos below. I've shown you the fundamental law, I've showed you the Constitution, I've showed you where the Supreme Court agrees with me, I've shown you all those things. But today, I want to speak about the action steps you can take. Very simple. Very simple, just the fact is that very few will actually do anything about it. So I will point to the remedy. I will also challenge you to take action steps, because if you want to deport illegal aliens, it's going to require Americans knowing the law and asserting their rights to government, correcting bad government in the law. That's what it's going to take. I do, however, want to specify what the remedy is just real fast. And that is, we have to first correct the bad presumptions. See, the reason why that police officer said, well, this is a sanctuary city and we can't deport anybody, is because that city is a municipality. That municipality is chartered underneath whatever state constitution that state they're in. So a state constitution is going to create the municipal charter. The municipal charter is like the constitution for that city. The constitution for that city, again, just that's what I'm calling it, the municipal charter, code, whatever you want to call it. The original charter is going to tell you what the purpose of that municipality is. So the first step is to get the city's original municipal charter, because that's the constitution of the city. That's the constitution of the county. It will tell you the original purpose and the original powers. The original purpose will include general welfare. It will include public welfare. The purpose of government is to secure those private rights, those personal rights, personal liberties, and to secure the general welfare and uphold the law of God. Now, you might not believe me, but you can go ahead and watch all those videos in the related below, because I've walked through all of this already. So the first action item is you have to correct bad presumptions in the law. That police officer is not arresting anybody because the elected officials in the city or the county have told him, you can't do this and we're not working with ICE. Folks, understand that that is an arbitrary decision made by elected officials in the city or the county. Now, if you understand your rights and the state constitution, you take what the state constitution says, public liberty, public rights, public safety, public welfare, you take that, that's your argument, and you take that against the arbitrary argument that people in government are making. We're not helping ICE, we're not going to deport, we're not going to do anything. You take public welfare and you smash that presumption. Because in the law, the federal government is presuming it has jurisdiction over immigration based on Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. Immigration in this nation is taught by law schools and understood by judges, attorneys, and lawyers to be a federal government issue, and that's a hoax. That's not the law. The federal government, the U.S. Congress, has the power to regulate commerce. And it's that regulate commerce power that is extended over all immigration. And it's been that way for about 150 years. But that's not the law. The law is that every state is a sovereign entity and has absolute and unqualified police powers over its state, over the territories of its state. So when you know that you do not like mass migration, making things dangerous, immigrants are destroying stuff, they're raping people, killing people, eating dogs, eating cats, whatever it is, if you do not like it, and it goes against the public welfare, the people are the judge of the public welfare. So you have to express that idea, that law, and you must smash the federal presumption. So the feds are going to say, we presume that immigration is commerce. And that has percolated down, and now the states, the counties, and the cities all believe that. They are all now looking at the federal government as the one who controls immigration based on the presumption of commerce. You have to directly you have to conflict that. You have to correct that. You have to show the state has a duty to public welfare. The state has a duty to public safety. Public safety and public welfare is a direct counter to this is commerce. We need more manpower. We need labor numbers. We need whatever it is. I'm giving you the very quick summary of all the things that are already in the description box below. If this is valuable to you, right there, go to patriotswitch.com/Jaron, switch your shopping to American manufacturing, be a blessing to me and my family. You'll get better products, better pricing delivered right to your door. Online product shopping delivered right to your door. Easy, awesome, American made. patriotswitch.com/Jaron, patriotswitch.com/Jaron. So what's the second part? So the first part is you have to correct the presumption, which means you have to know what the law is. The law of the U.S. Constitution is that the federal government may regulate commerce. And it is that clause, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, where the U.S. government extends that jurisdiction over all immigration in the nation. Now, you may remember earlier this year, the state of Texas wrote a letter and said, we are going to enforce our public safety at Eagle Pass, Texas, where the feds had moved in and were just letting illegals across the border at Eagle Pass, Texas. Well, you've got Governor Abbott wrote a letter that said the feds have broken the trust. They are not performing their duties to keep the nation safe. Therefore, Texas will exercise its sovereignty and protect and seal off Eagle Pass, Texas. And the feds shut up. And they didn't do anything. Texas made a public safety argument and corrected the federal government's presumption of commerce. That is step one. You must correct the bad presumption of commerce with the state presumption, the state jurisdiction of public safety, public welfare. Okay, that's step one. Now, whenever you bring that to people in government, they're not going to believe you because they don't know the law. This is why I spent hours doing all the videos that are in the links below. I wrote a state sovereignty affidavit, which is literally a sworn statement that you can fill out your information and send to your people in government. And you are demanding that they declare the law regarding state sovereignty. Now, here's where people are going to ask a process. And I'll go on a little bit of a sidestepped clarification. Americans have been taught an industrial means of education. We have been taught that everything is a process. Do this, then this, then this, then this, then this. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Follow this step, follow these paths, and you get what you want. That's not the truth. That's not the law. In the law works when the law is declared. Now, see, the problem is Americans' mind have been programmed to think, do all this stuff in this order and you get your outcome. This is why we hire attorneys. People hire attorneys because they don't know how to argue stuff in court. But when you know what the law is, you just say what the law is. And then when someone comes against the law, you just say what the law is. You want that controversy. You want that collision. We want the truth of the constitutions to come against whatever fanciful, whimsical, arbitrary, distracting, statute code-based case law argument dumb attorneys have. We want that controversy. We need that controversy in the law. But your process is not, well, I said the Constitution and they came back and just ignored me. So what do I do next? You take the law that you said and you bash them in the face with it lovingly, and you demand that they answer what you say. You hold frame. See, right now, this camera lens has this frame, right? If you try to take my camera and shift it, you're going to look at something differently. What we do is we say what the law is, and we do not move the frame. We are staying right here. I'm not going to let you move my camera. I'm not going to let you move my camera. Why? because I don't want you to know what's written on the whiteboard, but also because this is the law. I'm not moving what you look at to something else. I'm not letting you take what you're looking at or what everybody else is looking at, a judge, county commissioner, sheriff, whatever. I'm not letting someone take what they look at and shift it, because as soon as they shift it, they get away from what's written in the Constitution. So your process is holding the frame. I hope that makes sense. I really, really hope that makes sense, because Americans are taught we need to do step 1, then step 2, then step 3, then step 4. That's not what the law. That's not the law. The law is the Constitution's. I'm holding this frame, and no matter whatever you say, I'm holding it. I'm holding it. See, the Bible talks about whenever, let me just read this. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. Let's see it from the Bible first. Where's 1 Peter chapter 5? Let's go to this. Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 5. What we want to do, where are you at? Here we go. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8, right? Be sober, vigilant, because your adversary the devil as a roaring lion walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Watch this. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, right? Firmly in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. So when Satan is attacking you, when Satan is running around like a lion seeking to devour somebody, what are we supposed to do? Whom resist steadfast in the faith. We are not supposed to be moving. Christians do not move from the truth that the Bible teaches. Christians do not move from the gospel of Jesus Christ. Christians do not move from the fact that Christ is king now. We do not let people move our frame. We do not let people take our camera and shift the camera. There's no shifting of camera. There is only what is true. And how do we know what's true? The Bible is what's true. So now that we're talking about our government, how do we know what's true in government? The constitutions. That's it. We do not move off the constitutions. We hold that position. And because I don't know what the process is, I don't know how someone's going to respond to the Constitution. So I have no idea what the process is. This is the bad understanding of Americans who have been taught that the constitutions don't matter and that the government is in control. So the government will come up with its own processes, and then it will presume that you have to do its processes. But that's not the law. The law is the constitutions limit and bind government, and you and me say what the law says to make government obey. That will either make sense or it won't. You will either believe it or you won't. But that's where your remedy is. Your remedy is in the fact that you know what the law is. You're correcting the federal presumption. The feds are going to presume they control commerce. The states need to come back and say, no, we are sovereign. The states need to say, we are sovereign over the police powers of our territories. And because mass migration is a massive issue to the state, the people, the county, the whoever in our state, you need to correct that presumption using the law. That's it. Now, what does that look like? Well, I'll tell you just real short. That looks like you seeking out controversy. First, giving notice, giving that information, that difference. You have to give that information to somebody and give it to them in a way where they can come alongside you and help. Because there are many politicians who want to they want to solve migration. They don't want this country destroyed. There are a lot of good-hearted, decent politicians who want the truth. The problem is, whenever you tell them that information, they're going to go right to their legislative council, attorneys, and the attorneys are going to speak the presumption that the feds are in control. This is where we need the controversy. We need you to write what the truth is and record it, certified mail, in a way that you are creating your record that you are correcting your government. And then give your government the opportunity to respond. Now, this is where I go into more detail at the Live Local Church. We'll talk about that in here in a second. But just real quick, you tell people in government what the law is. You give them the opportunity to respond. When they don't respond, here's where you're going to break down. You're going to say, well, what do we do? What's the next step? If you just asked what the next step was, you're already going back to your old thinking, which is, I need step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, whatever. We say what the truth is. What you do is you take that truth and you take it to a situation where you're holding them accountable in public. Okay? Now, I explicitly state what this is, but I literally just told you. You take whoever you specifically sent things to an examination, a public examination of what the facts are. And then you demand that the truth is declared in that public examination. As you do that, you continue to stand on that truth and do not let procedures, process, case law, court rule, statutes, whatever, get you off of what that truth is. This is literally the remedy for everything, correcting bad government. You take the information, you give it to government. When government, if they don't respond or if they say screw you or whatever, you take them to public examination and you continue to fight in that regard. Now, there will be people who are skeptical, deny that, or say, yeah, I've done that, but what next? Show me what you've written. Show me what you've written. Show me where the law was precisely, concisely stated, and show me where you brought them into a public examination with broad diffusion of knowledge, where everyone was taught at the same time, shown at the same level, and all of that knowledge is recorded, and all of that knowledge is now concisely brought to the next step, or to the public examination. In short, you need to be ready to take public officials and sue them to answer questions. You don't need to sue them for money. You don't need to sue them to send them to jail. You don't need to sue them for any of those things. You need to be prepared to take government officials and sue them to answer single questions. That's it. Because when your question is precisely and concisely identified, you are creating a controversy. And that's what we want. We want controversy in the law so that the law is declared. If you want more information on how to do that but build that power locally, that is what I do at livelocal.church. Because you might be hearing what I say and you go, well, I don't know how to do that, or I don't have anybody else here with me. If you want other people where you live to be doing this and taking action steps, that's what Live Local Church is all about. LiveLocal.Church is a ministry that is designed to help Christians build power locally to take action and correct bad government, to regulate bad government, to build the fact that Christians are using the truth in the Bible, the biblical truth, the wisdom of Christ, to regulate the government, to correct injustices. That's what that's for. That's the whole point. Now, that's a $10 monthly membership. Now, what that does is it gets you a every other week email that has content specifically designed to do that. Lord willing, we will actually be starting Zoom meetings where there can be discussions and back and forth as people build go out, recruit. I talk about how to recruit people. I talk about how to find people who will take action with you. Because let's face it, a lot of people, whenever they go to their churches or they go to their GOP meetings or whatever, those people don't take action. Or the action that they take is limited to, let's vote harder, or let's vote for this Republican, or let's do fundraising here, or let's do activism here. Those solutions are based on a bad understanding of the law. When you know that the law is the law and the government obeys the law, then you will take action to make the government obey the law according to the law. What you will not do is shift your focus, have someone move your camera so that you are looking at a different picture. That's what's happening. What's happening in America is that the government has been construed as being over the people. And because government is believed to be over the people, the action steps are all government-based instead of law-based, instead of based on right, instead of based on constitution. It's all based on government, what the government does, what this politician is saying, what the statute says, anything like that. So I would encourage people to go learn from my teacher, a guy named Dave Jose. You can find him on Twitter at RealDaveCares4U, number 4, letter U. He teaches me, take his webinars, do all that stuff. If you want to start taking action in building that locally, that's where I focus. That's what I do. That's how I help people, is at the livelocal.church. And whenever you join that, $10 monthly membership. That's where we go in details. But just to give it to you so that you can't say that I didn't do it, here's your remedy. Show the law to the government. Correct the bad presumption, step 1. 2, seek out the controversy, broad diffusion of knowledge, write notice and affidavit. I've literally provided you affidavits in the description below. I've literally already written the document. I literally already have all the information right there, free and ready to go. You can watch it for free. You don't have to pay me anything. You don't have to buy anything. It is all there. And then you can send that to your government, and whenever, depending on how the government responds, you take that truth to a public forum where you are demanding they answer one question. Now, if you believe that that will work, because think that through. If you ask a question, are the states sovereign over their police powers? Are the states sovereign over their police powers? That question is damning against the federal presumption of commercial, of regulating commerce, regulating immigration as commerce. It's damning. Because if you get government officials start answering the question, states are sovereign over their police powers, doesn't that show that states are sovereign over their police powers? And if immigrants or illegals are coming into coming into the states, if the states are sovereign over their police powers, can't they deport them as a exercise of police power? And the higher you ask that fundamental question, the bigger the net you cast, the bigger controversy you have. Now that's wisdom. And if you look at what the Bible says, remember the Bible is talking about, what was our verse today? Proverbs 16 verse 6. Where are we at? Proverbs. If you look at Proverbs 16 and verse 6, go back to what we were talking about. Proverbs 16:6. By mercy and truth iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord men depart from evil. The fear of the Lord. Now let me explain this to you. When you tell people what the law is, and the people in government swore to it, you are showing them they're breaking the law if they do not agree with you. Now, you really have to investigate your thought process, because most people who think that government is in charge are going to say that, but yeah, they all break their oaths. But are you concisely showing specifically where they're breaking the law? Or are you just conservative podcaster, Republican talking point, complaining about a generic, things are bad, why don't you do anything about it kind of a way? See, there's a big difference between just complaining, which is what most Americans have been trained and programmed to do, and then using the law in precision for remedy, which is identifying specifically who in government is going specifically against what they specifically swore to. It's a completely different ballgame. Anyway, the most important thing that I do, however, folks, is I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, in that Jesus Christ came, born of a virgin, lived a perfect and sinless life. He died on the cross. When Jesus shed blood, was shed there on that cross, it was shed to wash away our sins. He died on that cross. He was buried in the grave, and 3 days later, he physically rose from the grave. If you believe that Jesus Christ physically rose from the grave and that his shed blood is the only way that your sins are washed away, otherwise you go to hell and you will be there for eternity. If you believe that, then you are called to, you are invited to obey. And that obedience begins with repenting from your sin. Turn away from what makes you an enemy of God. Give up your sin, leave your sin. You will confess that Christ is your King. He is the only way into salvation. And then lastly, you will be baptized in his name, because that is how you are added to his church. When you are added to his church, that is who he saves. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 23. Jesus is the Savior of the body. Until next time, my name is Jaron Jackson. I do love America. Do not quit. Let's go to war.